We all know Mr. Krabs as the grumpy, money-obsessed boss of the Krusty Krab. But
First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
But what if I told you there's more to him than meets the eye? Beneath his love for cash and clumsy antics lies a deeply sinister character. Today, we're digging deep into the true evil nature of Mr. Krabs, exposing his greed, manipulative behavior, and the dark reality behind his seemingly innocent exterior. Let's take a moment to ask a simple yet unsettling question. Where are all the other crabs? Think about it. We've seen plenty of fish, jellyfish, squids, and even whales in Bikini Bottom. But aside from Mr. Krabs, have you ever seen another crab in the entire show? Not a single cousin, uncle, or distant relative. Nothing. Now, this wouldn't be too strange in any other show, but considering that we see entire communities of other species, like the fish that populate Bikini Bottom, the jellyfish swarms, and Squidward's extended cephalopod family, something doesn't add up. Mr. Krabs is seemingly the last of his kind. Why? And let's talk about that name, the Krusty Krab. Why would a crab name his restaurant after his own species? We don't see the chum bucket serving actual chum, nor do we see Squidward running a squid cafe. If it's just a playful name, then why is Mr. Krabs the only crab around? Unless the crab in Krabby Patty is more than just a marketing gimmick. What if Mr. Krabs isn't just a businessman? What if he's harvesting something from his own kind? And that brings us to the darkest theory of them all. What if the reason Mr. Krabs is the only crab left in Bikini Bottom is because he's the one who got rid of them? What if the Krabby Patty isn't just named after crabs, but made from them? The Krabby Patty formula is one of the most closely guarded secrets in all of Bikini Bottom. In Imitation Crabs, Season 2, Episode 13b, Mr. Krabs says, and I quote, "The Krabby Patty formula is the sole property of the Krusty Krab and is only to be discussed in part or in whole with its creator, Mr. Krabs." That's suspiciously specific, isn't it? But it gets worse. In Sleepy Time, Season 1, Episode 15a, we enter Mr. Krabs' subconscious, and what does he dream about? Protecting a vault full of Krabby Patties, like his life depends on it. Could this be his subconscious guilt manifesting? Is this the dark truth he's hiding? So let's put all the pieces together. Mr. Krabs is the only crab in Bikini Bottom. The Krusty Krab is named after crabs. The Krabby Patty formula is a closely guarded secret, and Mr. Krabs will do anything to protect it. Could it be that the secret ingredient isn't just some mystery sauce, but something far more sinister? Could the Krabby Patties be the very reason there are no more crabs left? While greed fuels Mr. Krabs, his true evil lies in the way he exploits everyone around him for his own personal gain. He isn't just a tight-fisted businessman, he is the ultimate scammer, squeezing every cent out of his workers while hoarding obscene amounts of wealth. But just how bad is it? Let's break it down. SpongeBob is the ideal employee, loyal, enthusiastic, and a perfectionist. He works tirelessly for Mr. Krabs, showing up every day, no matter what. But what does he get in return? A paycheck so laughably low, it might as well be a prank. So how much would SpongeBob actually be making if this were real life? Let's assume the Krusty Krab operates 6 days a week with a standard 8-hour shift. That means SpongeBob is working 48 hours per week. Now let's do some quick math. For reference, the federal minimum wage in the United States is $7.25 per hour. That means SpongeBob is earning over 34,800 times less than what an actual employee should be making. But it gets worse. If SpongeBob were paid even half of minimum wage, he'd be making over $13,000 a year. But instead, his annual salary, if he worked every single week, would be a pathetic 52 cents per year. Not even a single dollar. That's not just underpaying an employee. That's straight up robbery. Now let's not forget Squidward, who Mr. Krabs treats like absolute garbage. He may not love his job, but that doesn't mean he deserves the constant insults, humiliation, And, of course, the criminally low wages. But wait, there's more. Mr. Krabs' exploitation goes beyond just underpaying his employees. He forces them to work in conditions that would be illegal in the real world. At this point, Mr. Krabs isn't just a bad boss, he's committing workplace violations that would get a real restaurant shut down immediately. Now let's be clear, Mr. Krabs isn't just cheap. He's not just a penny pincher. He is a straight-up scam artist, exploiting everyone around him for personal gain. He underpays his workers, avoids any responsibility, and then, somehow, gets away with it every single time. You have to admire the audacity. This guy wakes up every morning and chooses violence. Mr. Krabs' greed isn't just about making money, it's a calculated system of control. His behavior isn't simply the result of bad business practices or financial obsession. It's a deep-seated psychological fear. But fear of what? And how does it dictate his every action? More than anything else, Mr. Krabs fears loss of money, loss of control, loss of power. This fear doesn't just motivate him, it rules him.
Notice that Mr. Krabs has gone completely insane!
What do you mean?
Just look at him!
This isn't just greed, this is a psychological disorder. No sane person would risk their life over a single dollar bill. But for Mr. Krabs, money is more important than his own existence. Mr. Krabs doesn't just hoard wealth, he ensures that no one else around him ever questions his control. He systematically keeps SpongeBob trapped in a cycle of loyalty, guilt, and exploitation, while breaking down Squidward's spirit until he's too exhausted to resist.
He's only got until sunset. Why ruin his last day on Earth? The lad deserves to enjoy his final hours.
Mr. Krabs' subconscious betrays him. His greatest fear isn't death or loneliness, it's waking up without money. To any normal person, a dream might reflect their loved ones, their home, or their happiest memories. But Mr. Krabs, his entire subconscious is dedicated to protecting his financial empire. Without money, he has nothing. No identity, no purpose, no reason to exist. Mr. Krabs has built his empire on one simple principle: profit above everything else. His greed isn't just a personality quirk, it's a full-fledged system of control, abuse, and moral corruption. And as we've seen throughout the series, there's no line he won't cross to get what he wants. Mr. Krabs doesn't just exploit his workers, he delights in their suffering. In Squid on Strike, Season 2, Episode 20A, he doesn't just underpay his employees, he makes them pay to work. Let that sink in. If this happened in real life, the Krusty Krab wouldn't just be shut down, it would be a national scandal. But this isn't just about business malpractice. Mr. Krabs' callousness goes beyond money. He doesn't just ignore suffering, he actively profits from it. And sometimes, the price of $1 is even greater than SpongeBob or Squidward could ever imagine. There are multiple times in the series where Mr. Krabs is willing to sell out his own employees, his so-called friends, for a quick buck. Sure, it's just a kid's show, right? But let's be real. If a real boss sold your soul for pocket change, forced you into life-threatening work, and made money off the suffering of living creatures, we wouldn't just call him greedy. We'd call him a monster. It's easy to root against Plankton. He's the show's designated villain. But what if we've had it backward this whole time? What if Plankton is just a broken man, forced into desperation because of Mr. Krabs' relentless greed? Plankton may be a schemer, but Mr. Krabs, he's a tyrant. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to crush his competition into the dirt, ensuring that Plankton is never allowed to succeed. What if Plankton was never the villain? What if he was just the only person brave enough to fight back against Mr. Krabs' empire? So who is Mr. Krabs? A businessman? A greedy opportunist? Or is he something far worse? Behind the jokes and the memes, behind the catchy one-liners and the funny sound effects, lies a calculated, manipulative, and dangerous individual.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Mr. Krabs isn't just cheap, he is the very embodiment of unchecked greed, corporate exploitation, and the darkest aspects of capitalism. But now, it's your turn to decide. Is Mr. Krabs simply a product of capitalism? A harmless, greedy crustacean? Or is he something truly sinister, a wolf in crab's clothing, hiding in plain sight?